Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to discuss the TCA cycle, also known as the Krebs cycle. So here I've written pyruvate, lactate and acetyl-CoA. If you recall from my previous lecture on glycolysis, you'd understand that pyruvate had two fates. Under anaerobic conditions, where there is inadequate oxygen, pyruvate used to convert to lactate, right? To provide us with ATP, continuous supply of ATP, and only glycolysis used to occur. But under aerobic conditions where you have an adequate supply of oxygen, this pyruvate is converted to acetyl-CoA, which is what we're going to look at. Alright, so to convert that pyruvate into acetyl-CoA, we have to go through a series of steps which are known as the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, or PDHC for short. The PDHC complex is not actually a part of the TCA cycle, but the steps that lead to the TCA cycle are important and they constitute the PDHC. The PDHC consists of three functional enzymes, namely the pyruvate decarboxylase, the dihydrolipoyl transacetylase, the dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase. And where there is dehydrogenase, there is an NADH molecule. And decarboxylase, why? Because pyruvate is a 3-carbon compound, whereas acetyl-CoA is a 2-carbon compound. So decarboxylase makes sense because it's removing a carbon from it, right? And then we have two regulatory enzymes, the pyruvate dehydrogenase kinase and the pyruvate dehydrogenase phosphatase. Both these enzymes are for regulation in a way that one opposes the other's action, right? The kinase enzyme, it inhibits this PDHC, right? The kinase. The phosphatase, on the other hand, it stimulates it, right? So they oppose each other's function. You know, take it as an example, like pyruvate is a student and there are three teachers, these three teachers, right? And they're grooming that pyruvate, and those teachers are of different subjects, they're grooming pyruvate to become a more learned person, which is acetyl-CoA. And then these two are headmistresses that often fight together against each other. So, you know, they don't listen to each other and then they oppose each other, that's all. So, this is the PDHC, and the PDHC is subject to product inhibition, the product being acetyl-CoA. If there's an increase in the concentration of acetyl-CoA, then PDHC will not occur, right? And similarly, if there is a high level of ATP in the cell already, so that will also inhibit the PDHC, whereas AMP, adenosine monophosphate, and ADP will stimulate this process, PDHC, right? The cycle is the TCA cycle, alright? As I just mentioned previously, that acetyl-CoA will be formed from pyruvate. This acetyl-CoA enters a cycle which is called the TCA cycle. The end product of that TCA cycle is oxaloacetate, which is a 4-carbon compound. Acetyl-CoA, as I mentioned, is a 2-carbon compound. Both of these join together, and this reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme citrate synthase to form citrate, which is a 6-carbon compound. Right? Now the TCA cycle begins. The citrate synthase, as the name suggests, it is synthesizing citrate, hence citrate synthase. What happens is that when oxaloacetate binds to the citrate synthase molecule, it increases the affinity of citrate synthase for acetyl-CoA. So, you know, the binding is more effective than that way. Alright, now citrate is then converted to isocitrate by an enzyme called aconitase. Now, aconitase might be very, odd, might seem odd. Why? Because neither the substrate nor the product has a name similar to that. The reason being that in between there is an intermediate which is called cis-aconitate, which is why the enzyme was given the name aconitase. That's why. Okay. Then isocitrate converts to alpha-ketoglutarate by the enzyme isocitrate dehydrogenase. And where there is a dehydrogenase, there is always an NADH molecule produced from NAD positive. As well as the only difference is that here there is a carbon dioxide molecule also being removed, right? So which tells us that alpha-ketoglutarate is a 5-carbon compound. Alright? So now alpha ketoglutarate undergoes another enzymatic reaction by an enzyme called alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. I did not have space to write it, so I just wrote dehydrogenase, but it's alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, which again gave NADH as well as a carbon dioxide molecule, which tells us now that succinyl-CoA, the product, is a 4-carbon compound. Alpha ketoglutarate produced succinyl coenzyme A, 4-carbon compound, right? Now the rest of the products are all 4-carbon compounds. There is no loss of carbon dioxide, right? Succinyl-CoA is then converted to succinate by an enzyme called succinate thiokinase. Thiokinase, why? Because the succinyl-CoA molecule has a thiol group, which means an SH molecule. So it acts on that to produce succinate, alright? Then succinate to fumarate is the reaction catalyzed by succinate dehydrogenase. But in this case, NADH will not be produced. The energy that is produced by this reaction is not sufficient to reduce NAD positive to NADH, and so FADH2 is produced as a result, right? So this is the first FADH2 molecule produced up till now. We had two NADH molecules produced as of yet. So the product succinate was converted to fumarate. Now the product fumarate is converted to another product, malate, by the enzyme fumarase. Nothing more than that in this step. Then malate is converted to the final product of the TCA cycle, oxaloacetate, by the enzyme malate dehydrogenase. Malate dehydrogenase, and an NADH molecule is released in this process. Now if you see, there are a total of 1, 2 and 3 NADH molecules and 1 FADH molecule. Alright? If you remember from my lecture on the electron transport chain, there were 10 hydrogen ions being produced by one molecule of glucose that entered the ETC, right? That entered the ETC. Those 10 H positive ions were entering from the matrix into the intermembrane space, right? So if we see, this NADH has, all the NADH molecules have to give one hydrogen to oxidize back to NAD positive, right? 1, 2 and 3 NADH, so 3 hydrogens, right? But as we know that glucose formed 2 pyruvates. One glucose molecule is a 6-carbon compound and pyruvate is a 3-carbon compound. So one glucose gave 2 molecules of pyruvate, glycolysis yielded 2 NADH molecules, then the PDHC yielded 2 NADH molecules, and then the cycle will repeat twice for a molecule of glucose, because acetyl-CoA, there will be 2 acetyl-CoA molecules produced by one molecule of glucose, right? So this times 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 of the PDHC 8, 8 plus 2 of glycolysis, 10 NADH molecules and 10 H positive ions. So those 10 H positive ions were being produced by NADH, right? Which is why we say that NADH produces 3 molecules of ATP. So one NADH donates 1 hydrogen ion, and that 1 hydrogen ion gives 3 ATP molecules that I've explained earlier in my lecture on ETC. Now, what about FADH2? This reaction, if you remember, succinate to fumarate by the enzyme succinate dehydrogenase is also complex 2. This is complex 2. The FADH2 molecule does not provide hydrogens that would go into the intermembrane space from the matrix, which is why its hydrogen was not used like that of NADH in the production of ATP. An alternate route was chosen, which is why the FADH2 molecule, it's a fact that the FADH2 molecule yields 2 ATP molecules as opposed to one NADH molecule that releases 3 ATP molecules, right? So if you go back and watch my lecture on ETC, things will be much more clearer to you. Alright, so the mnemonic that I came up with to help you remember this cycle and the intermediates in the cycle was apples, A for acetyl-CoA and A for apples, apples and oranges, O for oxaloacetate, apples and oranges in a carton intentionally are, this is alpha is from A, so are stored secretly from mice. So as for the clinicals are concerned more with the PDHC. There are two main clinicals, and the first clinical is about vitamin deficiencies. There are two main vitamins, thiamine, vitamin B1, and niacin, vitamin B3, which are crucial for the steps of the PDHC. Why? Because they function as coenzymes for the enzymes of the PDHC itself. For example, thiamine pyrophosphate is a coenzyme for pyruvate decarboxylase, and it is a derivative of thiamine, obviously. So in people with thiamine deficiency, there can be neurological symptoms that are associated with a syndrome known as Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. So hence, vitamins are that crucial, for these steps to occur. The second clinical is about an enzyme called pyruvate decarboxylase, which is crucial for this step to occur, which is the conversion of pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. It is one of the enzymes of PDHC, so without it the PDHC will not occur, right? So if there is a deficiency of that enzyme, or there is a mutation of that enzyme, what happens is that pyruvate ultimately does not stay in that condition, because through this pathway only the aerobic respiration would occur. If this pathway is blocked, aerobic respiration is stopped, right? So we need ATP, right? But for that to occur, we must go through the other process, which is the anaerobic respiration, the anaerobic process. And for that to occur, pyruvate must be converted to lactate in order to oxidize the NADH molecule, right? So more and more pyruvate is converted to lactate, and lactate builds up, causing acidosis, lactate acidosis, right? And the treatment for that is that you restrict the person on a protein and a fat diet, right? And you decrease the levels of carbohydrate that he's intaking per day, right? So that is one of the main ways to treat such patients.